Russia-Ukraine. An international incident occurred on the 25th of November 2018 when the Russian Federal Security Service Coast Guard fired upon and captured 3 Ukrainian Navy vessels attempting to pass from the Black Sea into the Sea of Azov through the Kerch Strait on their way to the port of Mariupol. In 2014, Russia had annexed the nearby Crimean Peninsula, which is predominantly internationally recognized as Ukrainian territory. It later constructed the Crimean Bridge across the strait. Under a 2003 treaty, the strait and the Azov Sea are intended to be the shared territorial waters of both countries and freely accessible. Russia, in turn, insists that, while the 2003 treaty remains legally valid, Ukrainian ships must ask for permission before entering Russian waters along the perimeter of Crimea as any transnational water crossing, as regulated by the law of the Sea Treaty. The annexation of Crimea by Russia is not recognized by Ukraine. Therefore, Ukraine holds that the invocation of an international treaty with regards to Crimean waters is illegitimate. As the flotilla, which consisted of 2 gunboats and a tugboat, approached the Kerch Strait, the Russian Coast Guard said they repeatedly asked the Ukrainian vessels to leave what they referred to as Russian territorial waters. They said that the vessels had not followed the formal procedure for passage through the strait, that the Ukrainian ships had been maneuvering dangerously, and that they were not responding to radio communications. Ukraine said that it had given advance notice to the Russians that the vessels would be moving through the strait, that the ships had made radio contact with the Russians, but received no response, and cited the 2003 treaty against the assertion that the ships had entered Russian territorial waters. The Russians tried to halt the Ukrainian ships, but they continued moving in the direction of the bridge. As they neared the bridge, the Russian authorities placed a large cargo ship under it, blocking passage into the Azov Sea. The Ukrainian ships remained moored in the strait for 8 hours, before turning back to return to port in Odessa. The Russian Coast Guard pursued them as they left the area, and later fired upon and seized the vessels in international waters off the coast of Crimea. 3 Ukrainian crew members were injured in the clash, and all 24 Ukrainian sailors from the captured ships were detained by Russia. The Ukrainian president characterized the incident as a potential precursor to a Russian invasion, and declared martial law along the border with Russia and in Black Sea coastal areas, which expired on the 26th of December 2018. The Russian government called the incident a deliberate provocation by Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko ahead of the 2019 Ukrainian presidential election. The incident took place a few days before the 2018 G20 Buenos Aires summit. Western leaders referred to it when they spoke of sanctions against Russia. Russia annexed Crimea in 2014. The annexation is not officially recognized by the United Nations. The Kerch Strait connects the Sea of Azov with the Black Sea, and is formed by the coasts of the Russian Taman Peninsula and disputed Crimea. It is the sole access point for ships traveling to and from Ukraine's eastern port cities, most notably Mariupol. While both Ukraine and Russia agreed to the principle of freedom of movement through the strait and the Sea of Azov in 2003 following the Tuzla Island incident, Russia has controlled both sides of the strait since the Crimean annexation. By May 2018, Russia had completed the construction of the Crimean Bridge, which is 19 kilometers long and spans the strait, providing a direct land connection between Crimea and the Taman Peninsula. The bridge construction was criticized by Ukraine and other countries, which called it illegal. Furthermore, the Ukrainian and American governments have said that the bridge is being used by Russia as part of a creeping hybrid blockade of Ukrainian ports in the Azov Sea, and that Russian inspections of ships have risen sharply since the bridge opened in May 2018, with some reportedly being forced to wait between 3 and 7 days before being allowed through. Under the 2003 treaty, both Russia and Ukraine have the right to inspect vessels sailing into or out of the Sea of Azov. Ukraine has said that the increase in inspections by the Russian Coast Guard following the opening of the bridge represents an abuse of that right. According to the Defense News, from Russia's perspective, Tensions began flaring in March, when Ukrainian Coast Guard vessels in the Sea of Azov seized the Nord, a Russian-flagged fishing boat operating out of the Crimean city of Kerch. In March 2018, the Ukrainian border guards detained in the Sea of Azov fishing vessel Nord, accusing the crew of entering territory, which has been under a temporary occupation. The captain of the Nord, Vladimir Gorbenko, is facing up to F.